Welcome to the Ask the Experts podcast. Here's Curran Bhatia.
I am Curran Bhatia, and this is Ask the Experts. I had two chats on Instagram Live last week with Cecilia Breakhus and Claressa Shields. You're going to hear those interviews in their entirety here on this podcast. Cecilia Braekhus, of course, undefeated. They call her the First Lady of Boxing. She is the undisputed welterweight champion, and she's obviously had great success in our sport. I spoke to her on Friday on Instagram Live. The topic of Claressa Shields came up. In her words, she felt like the offer from Showtime was not high enough for her. She's fighting on the zone, and that is her perspective on the situation. And for the fight to happen, the offer needs to change. Then, a day later, I spoke to Claressa Shields on Instagram Live. Claressa has a different view on the events. In her opinion, that is not what happened. She is saying that Cecilia and her team did not come to the negotiating table. They are not accepting the offer. They're not listening to the offer. And she also feels like the offer that they were going to get from Showtime, which would be to be a main event on pay-per-view, would be significantly higher than what Cecilia is making. So that is Claressa Shields' side of the story. And also, I asked Claressa Shields, of course, about Laila Ali. There's been a back and forth there. The great Laila Ali has been retired, but has said that she would be interested in the fight with Claressa Shields if she could get $5 million and be the A side. So I'm going to ask Claressa her opinion on that. We took some fan questions, including if she feels like she is a polarizing figure. So you don't want to miss that. So without further ado, here are my interviews with Cecilia Breakhus, the First Lady of Boxing, and of course the GWOAT, the greatest woman of all time, Claressa Shields. I am Curran Bhatia, and let's ask the experts. So Claressa, we know obviously it's a tough time for so many people right now. I know you recently became a homeowner, right? So is that where you are? Are you kind of hunkered down, staying safe?
I'm like back and forth to my home and my apartment because I had an apartment before I got the house. So I'm back and forth from there.
And how are you handling everything that's going on in the world right now? The quarantine has obviously got to be hard with your training and everything else that you were doing. So how are you handling everything?
I actually wanted some downtime. So I mean, like the coronavirus is terrible, but I wanted to spend more time at home. I wanted to sleep more. I wanted to have a little bit more free time for my family and my friends. And I have plenty of that now. And just for training purposes, I have at my house, I have a boxing gym in the basement. I have boxing bag. I have crunch bar. I have a treadmill. So I can I can stay in good shape also.
And right now, with everything that's going on, are you even thinking about boxing and training and things like that? Or are you just trying to get through what's going on right now and then you'll refocus on boxing at that point?
I'm always thinking about boxing.
And so it's good that you're staying active, staying fit, staying ready. We know that you were supposed to have your fight in May, right? That was going to be your next upcoming fight, a unification bout to try to become undisputed at 154. You're already undisputed at middleweight. So if you had to guess, do you know when that fight may be rescheduled for?
Nobody knows when this coronavirus thing will be over.
So hopefully we'll see you back in the ring sometime soon for that unification to go for undisputed at 154, like we said. So yesterday I spoke with Cecilia Breakhus. She had talked about Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. I know that you responded. When I read your tweet to her, she said she's blocked by you on Twitter, so she couldn't answer. And she said that she wanted to make the fight with you, but she felt the offer from Showtime was not good enough. So
that is all lies. And that's the reason why I blocked her, because she throws a rock, but then hides her hand. You know what I mean? And that's why I blocked her. I'm not going to let her use my name to build fame for herself, because she's not really known in the U.S. And it was like she kept saying my name. So, of course, me and my team wanted to have, like, some kind of negotiation. And we reached out to Tom Loeffler. And basically, he gave this big old spiel about how Savannah Marshall's not Savannah Marshall, but how Cecilia Braekhus, she isn't really a 147-pounder. And, you know, she doesn't even get bigger than 147. So coming up to 154, fighting me wasn't an option. But when I was at 168, she kept on saying, like, oh, I would love to fight Claressa, but the weight is a problem. So I come all the way down from 168 to 154 just to get from her, okay, she's not going to fight over 150 pounds. And they didn't even want to have a real conversation because Showtime said that they would make us main event on Showtime pay-per-view if me and her was to fight. And Tom Laughlin and her didn't even want to have a conversation. But to the public, she'll say, oh, no, that never happened. But my team has no reason to lie on Cecilia or her team. She didn't want to have a conversation. She could have made $1 million for one purse, and she turned it down.
So basically, you're saying it's not that the offer wasn't good enough. She wouldn't even come to the negotiating table to hear the offer.
Nope. I think Tom Laughlin said she's not comfortable fighting over 150 pounds. And, you know, I'm coming from 168, so that means I'm bigger than 168, you know, at some point. So if you don't want me to come all the way down to 147, at least have a contract signed to where I know that if I was to get that small, would you even really fight me? Or would I just be a waste of my time and, you know, endangering my body? So like I tweeted earlier, if she really wants to get the fight made, because I'm not a person to go back and forth. It's more of like, we can get the fight made at 150 and I'll kick her ass in Norway, in her home country, in front of all her people, and she can keep her belts. Meet me at a catch weight, 150. Now, if she doesn't take that offer, I don't know what else. But that's why I blocked her, though. It wasn't even, and I also blocked her too because, yeah, I heard like, yeah, she wouldn't respond like that. But I was like, okay, you know, she doesn't want to come to 154. But then I also heard through the grapevine that her team, when she was going to do interviews, she only had one request and one request only, and that was that they do not even mention my name in any of her interviews. So to me, that was like a low ball because it's like, one, why do you want me to keep mentioning your name and keep mentioning how me and you could fight, and me calling you out after I win one of my biggest fights, main event on Showtime, to one, not even get to not even get a negotiation from you, you know what I mean? And then just to keep building your name as I'm growing, because I'm way more popular than her, even though she was undisputed first. But that's where I just was like, you know, I'm not going to keep going back and forth with her. And honestly, I thought she was a pretty decent person. But after I found that out, it was like, so I guess it is true that she does avoid fighters. She did avoid Layla McCarter. She's avoiding me. And she doesn't even want to have a rematch with Callie Reese. And it's just like, yeah, you're undisputed, but you're not going to go down for legacy. You know, she doesn't care about legacy. She doesn't care about fighting the best.
So in the past, she has always said the weight has been an issue. You're now saying that you're willing to go to 150 pounds, which is it's a huge cut for you because you fought as high as 168. You're willing to go to Norway to fight in her hometown now.
Yep.
So now that you're putting all of that on the table, if she still says no, are you going to feel like she's just using your name, maybe just clout chasing a little bit?
Absolutely. And that's why I initially blocked her. It had nothing to do with her posting a picture of her and Layla or anything like that, because I can care less. But it's more of like, and then she said she doesn't know where me and her fell out and all this other stuff. And it was like, she knows exactly when. She the one posted the picture of her and Layla Ali, calling Layla Ali the real GWOAT, to come at me. But she didn't want to speak on that. Like, she's really one of those girls who try to make herself look like, you know, she's one of the toughest and baddest girls in the public. But she doesn't want to fight. Tom Laughlin doesn't believe that she can beat me. Her former coach, Jonathan Banks, didn't believe that she can beat me. And I believe that that's one of the reasons why she fired him and got with a new coach.
And so she has to come to the negotiating table if she actually wants to make this happen at this point. She did say she wants to respond to you on Twitter, but she's blocked. You explained why she's blocked. Is there any chance that you would reconsider that so that, you know, she could
I unblocked her after I saw her interview with you. So she's been unblocked.
She's unblocked.
And I actually added her earlier, like, at Cecilia, like, I'll meet you at 150 and I'll make it even better for you. And I'll fight you in Norway. You know, her saying that the money is better at the zone. How much was her last purse? Like, let's speak facts. You know, let's not just believe anything that anybody says, because my last fight check was for $300,000. Yes. So how much was her checks for? And if you know, and just to prove it, you know what I mean? Like, on paper, I made $300,000 my last fight. How much did she make her last fight? And for her to say the money is there, it's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. She wanted to go where she could fight the smaller girls, Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, and force them to come up to 147 to fight against her, to give her full advantage. You know, and it's like, I just don't I don't understand that. But if I was to say, hey, Katie Taylor, I'm about to come to 140 and I'm gonna kick your ass, listen, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano would be like, well, I'll see your fat ass when you get to 140. And they'll be more than willing to fight me. But like with her, she won't even give a decent response. She won't come to the table and negotiate. And who turns down Showtime main event pay-per-view? It's a freaking woman fighter? Come on now.
And at this point, you've made all the concessions. You've unblocked her. So now it's on her to see if she actually will come to the negotiating table. You spoke about purses. Another fighter, of course, I have to ask you about, and everyone's been talking about this, is Layla Ali. Layla Ali said she wanted $5 million and she wanted to be the A side. So do you think that that is completely unrealistic? And is that another case, in your opinion, of someone maybe not coming to the negotiating table properly to actually set up a fight?
Layla, I can just say that, one, no woman in women's boxing has ever made $1 million for a fight. So to come out and not have boxed for 13 years and just request that you get $5 million is like, okay, do the promoters, even if the promoters don't believe that a woman can make $1 million right now, what makes her think that she can come out of retirement and just make $5 million? And it was like, look, I was even like pressing for like, you know what? To me, she is worth $5 million. To me, I'm worth a lot of millions. You know what I mean? But the promoters have not seen that yet in women's boxing. So for them to put his pay-per-view, and then I was just like, you know, an incentive on, you know, loser get $5 million, winner get $10 million. It's just like, we had some people who was willing to actually put the money up there, but then they had all these questions about, you know, can women's boxing even sell 500,000 pay-per-view buys to where it could make more than $15 million back? Can women's boxing, you know, can we even do those kind of numbers? Because in her fight against Jackie Frazier many, many years ago, she only did 100,000 buys on pay-per-view. And I've never fought on pay-per-view yet. But given the opportunity, I would like to think that I could do over 100,000 buys. But who would ever know if I never fight the main event, you know, up on pay-per-view? Like, who knows? But I know I'm steady building myself. My next fight purse is $400K. I'm making money. Her biggest purse in boxing was $600,000. And I know this because this is what Layla Ali told me out of her own mouth, her biggest purse, and said that they would not pay her no more than that. And I think she's kind of mad about, you know, just how she felt like she never got what she deserved in women's boxing. And also it's hard for her to get the biggest fights. Now, who knows the story? Who knows the real story between her and Ann Wolf? Was Ann Wolf scared of her, or was she scared of Ann Wolf? Who knows? But they both have told me the same story. That Wolf told me that Layla was scared of her. Layla told me that Wolf was scared of her. So who knows who's telling the truth? But I know that I fight if and everybody. It doesn't matter what weight, if I can make the weight. Like, now going to 140 and 147 is totally out the question for myself. But you never know what I'll do, because I'm just so ambitious and I believe in, I'm just a go-getter. Like, I'll actually, hey, if the money is there and the opponent is there and the legacy is there, you never know what I will do. Really, like, me even coming to 154 has shocked myself, honestly.
And if the fight with Layla is able to get made, what weight class do you think that would be at?
I think it would have to be 168 because she's a taller girl and a bigger girl. Even though I started my career at 168 and I've come down, I could still easily fight at 168. So I'm not trying to deprive her of her weight and make her and drain her and get her all little. No, I want it to be a very fair fight. So 168, of course. I'm not going to drain her to come to 154 where I'm currently at. Like, so I've been trying to be fair against all angles. Like, I'm like, look, we do pay-per-view, whatever numbers we get, we split down the middle 50-50. You know, I've even told my manager, like, look, okay, how about instead of winner getting 10 million, winner gets 7? You know, because I just want to keep her 5 million on the table. So where her excuse can never be, oh, we never fought because nobody wanted to put up the $5 million. Like, I want them to keep her 5 million there, regardless on how the fight does. So I'm trying to use every other angle just to get the fight done. Not because I just hate her. It's a great fight for women's boxing. I want to shut her up. And it'll be more of like, it's more of me taking a torch. There has never been a torch handed in women's boxing. You always just have people just consider Cecilia to be the greatest woman of all time, or to be the pound for pound, because she had all 4 belts. But if they really paid attention to women's boxing, you would see that she hasn't fought the best fighters.
And it would be a massive event if you and Layla Ali were to fight. When she was on Sway in the Morning, she said at one point that she offered you to spar with her and that you declined. Is that true? Did that happen?
So, first of all, that conversation was like a full joke. She wasn't even serious. She's always felt threatened by me, and she's always used to say, hey, I'm always in shape for 4 rounds, no matter how long I've been off. And she used to joke with me in that way, but she never said, hey, Claressa, let's spar tomorrow at 4 o'clock, bring your stuff. She never said that. And to me, people look at that like, oh, she said that I would have took the sparring match if I wasn't scared, and I would have, had brownie points or something like that. I'm a 2-time Olympic champ. I don't give a damn about no brownie points. I don't give a damn about sparring, about bragging about sparring. I beat up grown men all the time and don't even post the footage. I spar against grown men to get ready for fights. I spar against other girls and beat the shit out of them, and I don't post the footage. Why? Because in sparring, you working on stuff. On sparring, you working on your weaknesses and you trying to get better. So why would I even care to spar to say, oh, well, yeah, I sparred against Layla Ali. I've never used her name to promote myself. Never. But she's using my name to promote her spices and her cooking channel and all this stuff that she got. She's using my name because right now I'm popping in women's boxing. And she knows that. She knows that. And she's just like, oh, well, it's the perfect time for me to say this about her. This is the perfect time for me to not be friends with her. This is the perfect time for me to talk bad about her. And it's just like, whatever. She never supported no woman in women's boxing. None. But now she wants to come and try to post videos of girls boxing here and take pictures with Cecilia. She would have never took a picture with Cecilia if she didn't have beef with me. She's never come to any... Ask a girl who boxes right now, has Layla Ali come to any of your fights? Even girls that's been here before me. Never.
And she also said on that same interview, she said when she watched your fights, she feels like you could learn something about getting knockouts. She felt like you need to improve in terms of fighters holding. She felt like Habazin was holding, and she said that there's ways to get around that and knock out opponents. What do you make of that criticism for her basically saying that you should get more knockouts?
So I said, thank you. Thank you. But at the end of the day, I'm fighting against fighters who are really good fighters. Sorry to say. And her fighters were the people she fought against. People had majority losses. Women hadn't really trained. And she had a size advantage over those girls. Like I said, she did what she did. But I'm fighting against world champions. I'm fighting against people who have held world titles at multiple weight classes. I'm fighting against girls who are undefeated, like Christina Hammer, 24-0, 11 knockouts. I made her 24-1 when I only had 8 fights. I'm fighting against girls who's 18, 1-1, Hannah Gabriel's, taking her 10 rounds to win a experience yet in the pro. So to be a 3-time division world champion, it's not easy. It's not easy. And also, Layla only fought at one weight class. So how can she talk about, knockouts and stuff? Like, one, let me worry about the knockouts. Let me focus on them, because guess what? They're coming. Last girl I fought got dropped with a body shot. It's all coming together. Don't worry, but I was a great amateur and I'm a great professional, and the knockouts will come. But I never asked her for her advice. Why? Because I'm a better fighter than her.
And I know that you obviously had plans to fight in May. That was postponed. Something else you talked about was delving into MMA, fighting Amanda Nunes. Is that something you still want to do in 2020?
I would love to box against Amanda Nunes. And just as far as in the whole MMA thing, my life has kind of been put on pause because of the coronavirus, so I can't even train and work on takedowns and work on takedown defense and all this other stuff you have to work on to be a great MMA fighter. So me and Mark talked the other day. We're just like, we have to figure out a time frame, 6 to 8 months, to where I just train strictly MMA and put boxing on hold, to where I can start getting my feet wet in MMA and have my first fight. I would like to fight Amanda Nunes maybe after I've had about a year or two experience inside the MMA ring. But boxing, I'll be her anytime. I can be her tomorrow for that.
So hopefully we'll see that mega fight as well. Obviously, right now, you are the #1 active female fighter in the game. We talked about a lot of names, Cecilia Braekhus, Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano. You are #1. If you had to give an opinion, who do you think is #2 right now in women's boxing?
It's really out of, to me, Katie Taylor or Amanda Serrano. Both those girls are phenomenal. Like, I love Amanda Serrano's punching power, and her power travels with her from 140 all the way down to 118, all the way back up. The way she can lose weight and gain weight, to me, is insane. And the way that she fights too. She go out there with the same attitude toward everybody, and she'll fight you to death. And Katie, I love that, just her technical aspect. Like, she's super fast. She's very technical. She moves good on her feet. Only thing I'll say about Katie is sometimes I know she's not that flexible up top as far as in head movement. Like, her defense is with her legs, not with her head or her shoulders or anything like that. So, and sometimes she takes unnecessary shots because of that. But other than that, I think that Amanda and Katie are both great fighters, and they're going to battle it out to see who's #2 or who's #1. If the critics may consider that fight the best women's fight to date, so they may be #1 or 2. But either or, I feel like as far as in style wise, that I fight better. But I'm not going to be mad if they say, "Oh, one of those girls is the best," because they have great skills. They're great for women's boxing, and they don't turn down challenges. That's why Cecilia isn't even up there, And even her style, she's slow. People talk about, oh, Claressa, you're 10-0 with 2 knockouts. Well, hell, Cecilia Braekhus is 39-0 with 6 knockouts. Ain't nobody talking about her punch percentage, but she's still the best, though. Whatever. I got 4 less knockouts than she do, and I've been boxing. I only have 10 fights. So it's just like, when people say, like, if they're going to compare us the right way and actually be fair about it. Like, don't talk about my knockout percentage, but then not talk about how y'all want Cecilia to be ranked #1, but she's 39-0 with 6 knockouts. Come on now.
And it's something specific to women's boxing in terms of having to go to different weight classes to find those big matchups. In this conversation, we've talked about 147 all the way up to 168. And you're moving around in those weight classes, finding the best matchups, winning all the belts. What weight do you feel most comfortable at? And if you had your choice, what would you like to fight at?
I feel most comfortable 168, I feel great. I just feel a little sluggish sometimes, because it's like I don't have to lose no weight for that. And I kind of can walk around at that a little bit. 160, I feel sharp, but it's still just that, I don't know. I think I felt and looked the best at 154, sadly. But I feel good all my fights. I feel like I perform very well. But I think 154 may be the weight class where I can show all my skills, have my speed, have my power. What else? Freaking slipping everything. I can kind of bounce more and jump more, show off a little bit. But at 160, I just don't feel like my body wants to do that. But at 154, I can kind of much do anything, I believe.
And speaking of 168, before your fight with Habazin, there was talks that your next fight could be against Alicia Napoleon. We know Alicia Napoleon was upset by Ellen Sederus. Do you want to, at some point in the future, take on either Alicia Napoleon or Ellen Sederus?
I would love to fight both of them. And that was supposed to be, and me and Alicia was supposed to fight next, but she messed the bag up and she lost. So with that, it's like, I don't want to fight her after she's coming off a loss. It has to be like some kind of incentive for myself. So it's like she needs to either fight a Sederos and get her belt back and then me and her can fight, or go and get a belt from somebody. But I can't fight her if she doesn't have a belt. It's just not no incentive for me, And Ellen Sederos, her team said that she wouldn't be ready to fight me till about another year or two. I can respect that. I did think she was a little bit green, but she is a big, healthy girl at 168. She's tall. She got hard body. Man, that girl's strong. And I would love to fight anybody, to be honest. It doesn't matter. Wherever there's belts, wherever there's history, I'm there.
And so when I announced the interview with you, I posted on Twitter to ask for fans questions. Someone asked, they said they want to know your thoughts on why men have hate for you. They said, I know it's a sign of weakness, but I want to hear Claressa's thoughts on that. Yeah.
I'm out here punching like a dude, and they mad, and they're intimidated. That's why. I think that men are so used to women just bowing down and being quiet and letting them do and say whatever that they want to say about women and about women fighters. And I just kind of speak up and let them know, like, nah, like that's not it. I'm not gonna let you disrespect me or women's boxing, and you're gonna give me my props, and you're gonna respect my skill. If you really want to compare me against the men, go and watch my footage, and there's not gonna be a man that can tell me that I can't fight. not even possible. And a lot of guys thought that they could do that when I first turned pro, to say, oh, well, she lacks this and she lacks that and she can't fight and she only throws power shots and blah blah blah. And I had to let them know, like, yeah, I only threw power shots in that fight because that's the fight I wanted to fight. That's the fight that I chose to fight to win that fight. And then when they talk about my skills, in my next fight, I show my skills. So then when I show my skills, then they say, oh, but she's not getting knockout. Well, I thought you didn't want me to throw a power. I thought you wanted skill. So it's always going to be something. And I just been able to show all the men who are big haters, like, y'all can hate on me all y'all want, but guess what? Claressa Shields can fight, and she'll beat you and probably beat your son up and beat your daughter up, and whoever else you think, whoever can beat her in boxing, I'll beat some guy's favorite fighter. And that's where they're also upset. So, like, hate comes with the game. It is what it is. But I'm not too much worried about the hate. You know what I mean? I'm driven by positivity. So that's what I surround myself with.
And you are, of course, active on social media, engaging with fans. With that comes criticism, people chiming in. Do you feel like you've become a polarizing figure in the sport of boxing?
Definition of polarizing.
people feel either they really like you or they don't like you, right? They kind of pick a side. Do you feel like that?
I feel like those who respect realness and respect women and respect what I stand for and what I'm trying to do, they love me. I think it's kind of three. People either love me, they like me, or they hate me. And it's more just like, I don't really care. You know, it's like, if you love me, I love you too. If you like me, thank you. If you hate me, so be it. But it just comes with the territory. I'm not really somebody who's like, oh, I'm so heartbroken because people don't like me. Like, I'm not a person that care. And that's why I think bothers people too. Like, they can criticize me and they can say this and say that, but I don't change, and I will clap back, you know. And that's something that a lot of celebrities let their publicists control their, you know, that's why they can have their publicists control their Instagram and stuff, because they don't want to be accessible to the fans, because the fans can hurt their feelings. But if the fans say something to me or a hater, and I decide to respond, you know, I just respond the way that I want to, you know, being the champion that I am. And sometimes you just gotta put a hater in their place. That's all. Like yesterday, speaking of that, you asked Cecilia, you know, what doesn't she like about me personally, or just about my personality, or you asked some bullshit like that. And when I was watching the interview, I was just like, why the fuck is he asking that? You know, because I've never done anything to her personally for her to even to say that she doesn't like me personally. It's more of like, or to like my personality, you know. And it's more of like, if this is about boxing, let's talk boxing. But they, you know, men like to put women in this box where it's like, no, you be quiet and you don't talk too loud, and you don't talk about your skills that much, and you don't talk about how great you are, and you never talk about it, and people never know. That's why everybody call me the GWOAT. It's not self-proclaimed. You know, like, yeah, I'm probably the first one that said it, but before I even said it and made it public, any guy that seen me box in person was saying I was the best female fighter that they ever seen fight. So it wasn't just, you think that thought came from me? No, other people were saying that to me. I didn't even believe it at first. So I started watching my own film, watching my own footage, and I'm just like, damn, I really can box. I really can bang. I really do have good defense. That's what's making me the greatest woman of all time, because some fighters only have two of those things, or one. I have all three, you know.
And it's been amazing to see what you have achieved at 25 years old, in your prime, undisputed at 160, like we said, going for undisputed at 154. Just to close it out, I mean, you talked about challenging yourself at MMA versus Amanda Nunes possibly. What do you hope to achieve in boxing? When will you say, you know, this is my goal, and once I hit it, I can kind of walk away knowing that I've achieved everything I've wanted to in boxing?
There isn't a goal. Like, it's just to make as much history as possible. Fight the best fights. You know, I don't want any stone unturned. You know, if the fans want knockouts, I want to give them knockouts. If the fans want me to box and show my skill, I want to box and show my skill. If they want me to show my defense and shoulder roll like Floyd, I'm a shoulder roll like Floyd. You know what I mean? Like, whatever the fans want and they request from me, that's what I want. And the fans want to see me fight against Laila Ali. The fans want to see me fight against Cecilia Braekhus. The fans want to see me become undisputed at 154. The fans want to see me rematch Hannah Gabriels and beat her again. You know, it's just so much that I could do. And the fans want to see me go against Amanda Nunes in the boxing ring and also inside the octagon. So if the fans want it and I'm able to deliver, then I believe that I should, while I'm young, while I still have the energy to keep losing weight and keep fighting, you know, I just want to do everything before, you know, before I leave. Because when I hang the gloves up and I decide to walk away and be done with the sport, I don't want to come back. You know, I don't want to, you know, walk away feeling like there's something that I didn't do, you know, or it was somebody who I didn't fight. Like, I don't know how Laila Ali lives with herself knowing that she never fought Ann Wolf. It must eat her up every day. And whenever somebody even mentions Ann Wolf name to her, it has to piss her off because they're always going to be, who was better, you or Ann Wolf? And they could have fought easily had people know who the best was.
And that was the great Claressa Shields, definitely the top female boxer right now in our sport, undisputed at middleweight, going for undisputed at 154, which would be a tremendous accomplishment. She's in her prime. She's outspoken and keeping it real, telling us everything we want to hear. Now, she, of course, referenced my conversation with Cecilia Breakhus. So, here is my conversation with Cecilia. I spoke to her on Friday of last week. Let's get her side of the events. So, just to start it off, I mean, obviously everyone is dealing with the coronavirus right now, the global pandemic, of course. So how are you holding up? How are you handling it right now?
Well, I mean, it could be worse. I'm currently now in Big Bear up at Abel Sanchez gym, the Summit. So, it's a nice sunny day. It's beautiful up here. I have the gym for a couple of hours training every day. So it could be worse. We're still practicing social awareness and staying inside mostly. But as you can see, there's not much people here, which is a good thing.
I've been up to Big Bear to work with Abel Sanchez, to see him training. Of course, Gennady Golovkin trained there for a long time. It's a very secluded and peaceful place. Is that a good place to be also just mentally, because you're away from everything, you're with nature? Is that a good place to be right now with everything that's going on?
Absolutely. Just like you say, we are away from the worst. We are pretty shield up here, and also coming from Norway, I love the nature here, the mountains, the trees, and it's like it's a little bit like being at home. The best part is, of course, that we can still be at our gym and we can go out running and take a walk without meeting a lot of people. There are not much people here. It's very closed off.
Yeah, if you've ever been up to Big Bear, it's even when you get to LA, it takes a few hours to get up the mountain and get there. It's a very secluded place. So are you thinking about, with everything that's going on, are you thinking about your next fight right now? Are you trying to just practice social distancing and get through this period first? What's going on in terms of your mindset and in terms of your training camp?
Well, first of all, it was, of course, the friends and family at home. Knowing they were safe, I could start thinking about my next steps, which will, of course, be to stay in the gym, stay fit, and stay ready. But there's also a lot of other, this is a very special time, and we have to change our minds around that fact that everything is going to be very different in the future for the way a lot of people conduct business, the way people are working, the way social media will work. So I was a social media dinosaur until this coronavirus hit. So now I'm actually trying to teach myself a little bit on the social media, the web, because in the future, I think we see a lot of businesses are going to just move over there.
And in terms of your next fight, I know you said you're staying busy on social media, but you were scheduled to fight on April 17th, right? That fight has now been pushed back. Is there any new date, or is that just pushed back until all of this gets figured out?
Well, I think, we are in the same boat as everyone else. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't have any time frame yet. We just have to go to the gym, stay active, stay healthy. And I think as a athlete, you're also a little bit more prepared mentally to do this. As a fighter, this is not the first time, as everybody in the boxing business know. It's not the first time a fight's getting pushed or canceled. Fighters been waiting maybe a year for fights that don't happen. So the mental part is very much there. So I think for athletes, this is a situation we're a little bit better to cope with than the average person. You know, like we are used to getting sick or anybody getting sick around us. We are put in quarantine. I don't shake hands. The last weeks before fight, I was in a camp with Vladimir Klitschko. He doesn't shake hands at all. He just stopped doing that. So I think we're a little bit more prepared, but of course it's a very unusual situation.
And your fight that was supposed to be on April 17th, it was against Jessica McCaskill. Now you're of course undisputed champion at welterweight. You hold all the belts you have for some time. Your opponent McCaskill has 2 belts at 140. So if that fight comes together, which we hope it does later this year, what weight class would that fight be at?
Well, we agreed to go down to 145, I believe. And I'm very disappointed of that because that was a huge fight. Well, women boxing all over, it's exploding right now. You have Katie Taylor and Serrano was going up against each other, and a lot of other great fights coming up for women boxing. So that day, for this to happen, it was quite a blow for this sport that took 100 years just to get to the Olympics. But like I say, you just have to mentally prepare for better times now.
And it was said that if that fight had happened, you could fight Katie Taylor or Amanda Serrano. Do you still want to fight those names maybe in 2020, depending on how everything shakes out?
Yeah, of course. Now we have to see what's happening. But I hope and I think these fights will happen. Me versus Michalski for sure, and Katie Taylor versus Serrano for sure. And the winner of those 2 fights will meet each other and will crown the best pound for pound #1.
And I know that recently on Twitter you said Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, they're both legends, that you would love to challenge yourself against either of them. And 2 days ago, or actually yesterday, Claressa Shields responded to that, and she said, I'm going to read it to you. She said, I mean, of course Cecilia would want to fight against girls who have never boxed over 140 pounds. She hasn't agreed to take a fight against me at 154 or possible 147. I wonder why. So that was Claressa Shields' tweet. What is your response to Claressa Shields?
Well, I have 2 responses. First of all, she blocked me a long time ago. So she, so all the accusations she's coming on Twitter, I don't have, I cannot defend myself against them, or I just know that I just hearing from everyone that she's talking, saying some very bad stuff about me. I hope she will give me a chance to be able to answer them directly to her and on Twitter. I don't think that's very brave to do it the way she does it right now. And when it comes to the fight, it was never about the weight. It was never about the weight, the venue, or anything. It was very easy. I got a better offer from DAZN and took it. The offer from Showtime was actually the 3rd best offer I got. So I had the best offer was definitely from DAZN. I had an offer from Norway to fighting there too, which was also a very good offer. And then Showtime's offer. You know, she can huff and puff all she wants on Twitter, but if she wants this fight, she needs to go back to her bosses. She needs to go back to Showtime, and that's where it's going to happen.
And we know that recently promoters have been able, and networks have been able to work together. We just saw that with Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder in the rematch. We saw Fox and PBC come together with Top Rank and ESPN. So it has happened on a high level. So assuming that it could happen, right? Let's say that the Zone can work together with Showtime and somehow maybe a joint promotion. You are the welterweight undisputed champion. She's undisputed at 160. You said weight isn't an issue, but I know that, of course, because of the difference, it has to play a factor, right? What weight would you feel comfortable fighting Claressa Shields at, assuming the promoter network issues were able to get worked out?
Well, right now it's Showtime hasn't didn't come to us with any offer that really made us take this any step further. So, you know, they it's been very, very quiet from them. I don't think they will. I don't think the financial terms are there for Showtime right now, to be 100% honest. I just have to say it the way it is.
And so basically, bottom line, you're saying for that fight to happen, Claressa Shields would have to maybe leave Showtime and come to another platform to make it happen.
Well, that's of course very drastic, but what I'm saying is this is up to the Showtime executives. This is not happening by Twitter or anywhere else. If she wants this fight, she needs to get back to Showtime and to her to those who pays her bills there and say, you know what, I want this, and you got to make this happen. Right now, you know, I have a good deal with the Zone. My fight is shown all over the world. It's also sold to all the Nordic markets, and it's a very good deal for me, financial, and also the fact that my fight is shown on a global scale. It's shown in America, it's shown in Europe, and it's shown also in the Nordic countries. And I welcome Showtime to come and try and top that offer for sure.
And last question about Claressa Shields before we move on. What do you think about her personally? We know she's a great fighter, undefeated, as you are undefeated as well. What do you think about her personally, and why do you think she blocked you on Twitter?
Well, I don't know, to be 100%, because we actually, I mean, we started out pretty cool. You know, we had some good exchanges. We were supporting each other. She even sent me some text messages, inbox, you know, hey, you need some support here, and I texted her back. So we had actually have a lot of contact, which has been very positive. And then suddenly this happens, and I don't know, I can't explain it, but at least, you know, unblock me and give me a chance to, you know, answer your allegations.
And so just moving on, if you do get the fight against McCaskill or whoever it may be, I'm looking at it here, some of the notes I had.
Yeah, it will be McCaskill for sure, next fight.
And not to ever look past an opponent, but if you were to get past her, you would break the streak that was held by Joe Louis, and that was 25 consecutive world title defenses. So A, were you aware of that? And B, if you are able to do that, what would that mean for you?
But I think it's important not to think too much about that. Like you say, never look past the fighter, and McCaskill is a very strong fighter. We saw what she did to Katie Taylor, and I don't remember how many fights she had. She did not have many fights, professional fights before that. Maybe 3, 4, 5 fights before that, and she gave Katie Taylor a hell of a run. So I'm not taking her for granted at all. If this should happen, it would be huge. It would be history, and I would love to do that.
And let's see if that happens. There's been so many good fights in women's boxing, especially recently. A lot of stars like yourself, Claressa Shields, we mentioned. Ellen Sederus upset Alicia Napoleon recently. Franchon Cruz de Zern. There's so many names. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano. In terms of women's boxing, are you happy with where it is right now in terms of the mainstream? As you said, it's on the Zone, so people can see it in many different countries. Are you happy with the state of women's boxing, or do you want to see anything changed?
Well, I am. You have to look at this over time, because for 100 years there were nothing happening, you know, and then suddenly boom, 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 we got to the Olympics. We got I got to sell out venues in Norway, 10,000 people. We got the biggest American television station, and this has happened in a couple of years. So the wave that women boxing is on now, the timing with the coronavirus couldn't be worse.
And that's probably true for so many things right now. So in terms of, we were talking about the timing and women's boxing. I worked at HBO for a long time, and I know that you were able to fight on the last card on HBO boxing, right? So
Yeah.
what did that mean for you? Did you take honor in that, in terms of HBO boxing had been around for so long, had such a historic history, and one of the last cards featured your fight? What did that mean for you?
Oh, that was huge for me. That was definitely one of the biggest moments I had, because that was another groundbreaking. That was another groundbreaker in women's history, and I think also that led, when the other TV shows saw that HBO was airing women boxing, I think that also did a lot positive. So I'm just being part of this area is amazing.
And in your illustrious career, I'm going to read this off. You are the longest reigning female boxing champion, the longest reign as a 4-belt undisputed champion, and the most bouts undefeated by a female world champion. So those are some amazing stats. You've been boxing professionally since 2007. You're 38 years old now. So how much do you have left? How much more do you want to continue in boxing?
Well, I had a couple of fights in mind before I was going to retire. The deal with the zone definitely gave me a lot of motivation. The chance to be in a ring with some of the best female fighters in the world, like Michalski, Serrano, Katie Taylor, maybe even Cyborg, has definitely give me a lot of inspiration. Now I don't know how long this coronavirus will take, this lockdown. I just have to see what, I have to see fight for fight, and I have to see my health, my body, how everything feels. But right now I feel great, and I'm in a great box camp. So I feel I have some more fights left in me.
And you mentioned Cyborg. Do you think that that's a fight that we could see, you versus Cyborg?
That's also possible. Considering she's on the zone 2, she's also interested in doing this. She's very interested in doing this crossover with the MMA and boxing. She saw the hype McGregor and Mayweather got. She knows it's going to be a huge deal. And like I said, she being in the zone 2, it's absolutely possible to get this done. But first, my first goals are, of course, getting past Michalski, and then taking on the winner of Serrano and Katie Taylor.
And if you were to fight Cyborg, it sounds like that would be in a boxing match. Is there any chance that maybe after that you would step into the cage and fight her in MMA, or would it only be boxing?
Well, I think it would be boxing, because doing MMA would be starting to work on grappling for me in the age of 38. That's very optimistic.
And you mentioned the names that you'd like to fight next. Is there anything more you want to achieve in terms of milestones? We talked about Joe Louis's record. We've talked about all the records that you hold. Are there any records or belts or anything like that that you want to achieve, or right now is it just looking at those top opponents?
I think I have achieved most records you can achieve. I was the first to have the ring belt. I was the first undisputed. I have hit the million mark in viewers 3 times. I sold out 10,000 tickets times 2 in Norway. For me right now, it's all about who's in the other corner of the ring. my motivation is purely in the sport now.
And have you thought at all about what you want to do post-career? Do you want to stay involved in boxing, maybe as a trainer or as an announcer, or do you have other plans of things that you'd like to do after your boxing career?
I just have to say, hi guys, I see all your messages. I'm just in the middle of an interview. Oh yeah, definitely. Professional boxing and sport and yeah, sport in generally has been my life since I was a little girl. I would definitely continue doing that. And in what kind of role, I don't know yet. I don't think automatically top fighters will be great trainers, but you know, I'm not saying that it won't happen. I'm just having a lot of other projects I would like to work on a little bit after my career, and that is a little bit out of the gym too. You know, I think I deserve that after a long life in this game. It's been fun, but it's been rough.
In terms of other projects, I know that your background, you were in an orphanage in Colombia, and at 2 years old you were adopted, and then you started combat sports at 15, and now you have the First Lady Primary School, right? So I'm sure that that's very important for you to work with underprivileged kids. Is that one of the causes that I'm sure you're going to continue into life after boxing as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm in a very good situation. I love my work, and I also am so excited to the day I'm done, the day I really can sit down and say, you know what, I'm done. I have done what I need to do, and I can go over to my other project and focus on them. Being and working in Uganda has been extremely important to me, and I can't wait to get back to that work. That is one of my projects for sure. So you know, I'm really looking forward to that too. I wish I could spend more time there. I miss them every day.
And just to close it out, I mentioned that you started combat sports at the age of 14. Did you ever think, you know, we talked about all of the things that you've accomplished in this sport. It's been an unbelievable career so far. Did you ever think, you know, that you could accomplish all of these amazing goals in the sport of boxing?
Well, I think, what can I say? You know, my life hasn't been like the, you know, I was born, if I wasn't adopted to Norway, I could be in Colombia having nothing and grow up poor there. Instead, I grew up in Oslo, Norway, having everything I needed. So I'm just saying, life is weird, and I'm just loving and appreciating everything right now.
And you mentioned all the fans in the comments. So just to close it out, obviously, we are all going through a tough time right now in terms of what's going on in the world. Any final words of encouragement to your fans, or anything you want to say to your fans and supporters?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, this is a tough time, but we're definitely going to go through it. Just stay positive and stay active, and and stay inside.
Cecilia Breakhus, thank you so much. Good luck up in Big Bear. I know you're training, and hopefully we'll see that fight with McCaskill sometime soon, and then the eventual matchups with Katie Taylor, Serrano, or even Claressa Shields down the line. I know I'm looking forward to those. Thank you so much for taking the time, and best of luck to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
And I want to thank both of my guests, Cecilia Breakhus and Claressa Shields. They're talking now on Twitter. That's a good thing. Let's hope that the fight comes together sometime soon. I know boxing fans, including myself, would love to see that. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to follow us, you can follow at ATE_podcast. That's on Instagram and Twitter. If you want to follow my personal channels, it's at CurranBhatia on Instagram and Twitter. That's at Curran Bhatia on Instagram and Twitter. Please subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/Curran Bhatia. Please check out our show on iTunes. Hit subscribe. Give us a 5-star review. If you want to email the show, it's asktheexpertspod@gmail.com. This is Curran Bhatia signing off for Ask the Experts.